We got some dead birds in Philadelphia, people. The Eagles have officially hit rock bottom. And I didn't think they could go any lower than what they did when they allowed Drew Lock to engineer a 10-play, 92-yard game-winning touchdown drive, which led to the win. I thought that was it for Philly. I thought they couldn't go any lower than that moment, but just when you thought things couldn't get worse, they got worser. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals. They beat the Dallas Cowboys earlier in the season. We seen and forgot about that, but they seem to play their best football when they're going up against any team in the NFC East. Kyler Murray made Matt Patricia's defense look abysmal. People were talking about how Sean Desai was a bad defensive coordinator. Well, Matt Patricia isn't even better. This defense allowed over 200 yards on the ground to the Arizona Cardinals. James Conner was a one-man wrecking crew on the ground, and Kyler Murray just could not be stopped. He was breaking out of sacks. He was running around. You know how Kyler Murray likes to play football. He plays a lot of backyard street ball. Man, this dude is just like a 5'9", 5'10" midget just running around, throwing the football downfield. He couldn't be stopped. The only time Arizona's offense didn't score is when they were taking it into halftime and Kyler threw that 99-yard pick six to Sidney Brown. That was about it. Arizona's offense was dominant from their opening drive to their final drive. Did you know that they scored touchdowns on every single possession that they got in the second half? Philly's defense it's an embarrassment. This was one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. They had a great pass rush. They had an all-time great pass rush. Where is it at this year? This pass rush was supposed to be even better than what it was last year with you bringing in Jalen Carter. Haven't heard his name as of late. What about the secondary? The decisions to extend James Bradbury and Darius Slay were two of the worst decisions that Howie Roseman made during the course of this past offseason, because both of those guys, they look cooked. James Bradbury, he's not even a starter anymore. After this season, he has to go. Darius Slay, you probably got to get rid of him too. You just need to start over. You just have to. Keely Ringo looks better than both James Bradbury and Darius Slay. And he hasn't really been nothing to write home about neither. This defense is out of sorts. This whole team is out of sorts, people. Like, the Eagles, they nearly lost to the Giants last week. I thought that they were rebounding against Arizona. They were like 11-point favorite at one point during the week going into this matchup, and I took Arizona plus 11. I was like, with the way Philly has looked, I can't trust them to beat anybody. And at this point, you lose to Arizona, are you going to be able to beat the New York Giants next week? Because with this loss, you took yourself out of position to get the 1 seed in the NFC. It now belongs to the 49ers, and you really needed that more than any other team because you're banged up, Jalen Hurts isn't fully healthy, and you needed a chance to sit back and regroup and regather yourself and figure out who you were as a football team. And getting that first round bye would have allowed you a little bit more time to figure some things out. But now you got to go into wild card weekend, and you better hope that you don't have to play a team like the Rams or even the Packers, because there's a good chance you could lose to any one of those teams, especially the Rams. They might put up 70 points on that defense with the way that it looks under Matt Patricia. And who thought that it was a good idea to even make Matt Patricia the defensive coordinator anyway? The last time this dude was calling plays was when he was the head coach of the Detroit Lions. And a lot of Lions fans will tell you that his defenses were absolutely laughable. They were laughably bad. I remember a couple of years ago, the Lions played the Houston Texans on Thanksgiving when they had prime Deshaun Watson, by the way. And the Detroit Lions defense was so bad in that game that the Texans were running trick plays against Matt Patricia's D. In that game, I promise to God, go back and look up Texans versus Detroit Lions Thanksgiving highlights. They were running trick plays against Matt Patricia's defense, man. This defense is god-awful. This has went from elite defense to a bottom three defense. And I can't name too many other teams that defenses are as bad as what Philly's is. Especially when you look at the amount of talent that they have, you wouldn't think that this defense would be performing at this low of a level. But this is what happens when you whiff on your coordinator hires. When they lost their offensive coordinator Shane Steichen and defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, the head coaching jobs, There was a lot of concern about how the play calling was going to be on both of those ends. But you had trust in Nick Sirianni that he would have been able to make the right decisions because he is a pretty good coach. But the problem with Nick Sirianni that's hurting Philly is that what does he really do? What does he really specialize in? He doesn't really look like he knows too much about defense. Offensively, we don't really know how much he knows about that end of the ball neither. And when he was calling plays his first year in Philadelphia, he had to give that thing up to Shane Steichen. Philadelphia, you got some dead birds in your city right now. Y'all need to go outside and click those birds up quickly, man, because they starting to stink up the city right now. Like the Eagles stink right now. Jalen Hurts, he had a good game, but it wasn't a great game. And he got outplayed by Kyler Murray. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked like a top 5 quarterback this year. I saw Michael Vick release his top 5 quarterback rankings, and he had Jalen Hurts in that thing. Bro, I would take Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield over Jalen Hurts this season. And I'm not a Jalen Hurts hater. I love Jalen Hurts. But we got to be honest about him. Ever since he got that contract, the level of play that we've seen out of him this year has been awful, bro. There are like 13, 14 quarterbacks that you could name over Jalen Hurts right now that are better. When you're paying a guy this much money, he has to be able to elevate you when your defense is struggling. He has to be able to overcome certain limitations. And is Jalen Hurts a quarterback that's good enough to lead you to a championship with you not being at full strength, not having a great defense, maybe having a couple of injuries that you have to deal with? I don't think so. Jalen Hurts looks like a good bus driver quarterback, but when he has to be somebody to be the leader of the pack, I think he comes up short way too many times too often based on what we've seen out of him this season. And there were, some people in the offseason that were coming at me saying that you're giving the Eagles way too much props, like Jalen Hurts is going to be a one-hit wonder. And I was saying, man, I don't know about Jalen Hurts being a one-hit wonder. This dude is such a great leader. He's a hard worker. It's hard to see me seeing the fall off out of Jalen Hurts. But we've seen it this year. And that fall off it's came out of nowhere, just to be honest with you. And you look at the stats, statistically, Jalen Hurts is one of the best QBs in the game, but the same issue that Jalen Hurts has when it comes to statistics, it's the same issue that people have when it comes to assessing just how good Russell Wilson is. Now, Jalen Hurts is way better than Russell Wilson. I ain't finna do him like that. You feel me? I know I watch a pretty good amount of Eagles games to know that Jalen Hurts is not even in the same tier as Russell Wilson. It's not even close. But when it comes to ranking him with some of the best quarterbacks in the game, he doesn't belong in that discussion. And one area of Philadelphia's offense that was really good earlier this season that has kind of failed now has been the rushing attack. What the hell has happened to DeAndre Swift, bro? I had him on my fantasy team for all this season. In the last couple of weeks, he hasn't done anything. And I'm in the fantasy championships. And I lost today because DeAndre Swift couldn't do anything. And it's not his fault because the dude is averaging over 4 yards per carry. It's just the fact that the Eagles don't want to give this dude the damn football. The passing game isn't working. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, but you can't run this offense through Jalen. This offense should be ran through DeAndre Swift. Not only is he a great running back, but he also is a pretty good pass catcher. This offense going into the postseason, what they need to work on is making DeAndre Swift the focal point of this unit. That's the only way they're going to have a chance at being able to go far in the playoffs, because you're going to need to run the ball and control time of possession to make sure that your defense doesn't have to take too many snaps on the field. Asking Philly's defense to get a stop is like asking you to go into the corner store and find a winning scratch-off ticket for $1 million. It's damn near impossible, especially when you got Matt Patricia calling the plays. I mean, you thought that the Philadelphia Eagles, with Nick Sirianni being the kind of coach that he is, they would have been more prepared than what they look like in this game. I mean, come on. You lost to the Arizona Cardinals, man, and you went in the halftime for lead. That's the crazy thing about it. Arizona outscored Philadelphia in the second half 29-10. That's embarrassing, bruh. They couldn't stop anything that Arizona did, and they're a way more superior team talent-wise than what the Cardinals are. It's getting really ugly down there in Philadelphia. And I said it a couple of weeks. People thought I was being insane. They were coming at me. Y'all didn't see it because I ain't posted on YouTube, but follow me on Instagram, JT Sports _, and on TikTok, JT Sports __ so you can see my reels. I made a reel saying how the Philadelphia Eagles probably aren't going to win a playoff game and how Baker Mayfield was better than Jalen Hurts. And people were saying, oh, you don't know shit about football. You hating on Jalen Hurts. You hating on the Eagles. The Eagles are okay. Do the Eagles look okay to you? Like, the Eagles right now look like they need CPR. They need somebody to go ahead and give them some mouth-to-mouth reciprocation to bring them back to life, because the Eagles that we see right now, they have a dead heartbeat right now. They don't even have a pulse. Like, you need to get some of the little electric shock things that people use and they say clear to wake you up. Like, somebody needs to get those things and put it on everybody on the Philadelphia Eagles and give them a little bit of a boost to wake back up, because Philadelphia right now, they're trending downwards. And this is the wrong time of the season to be trying to figure out who you are. Like, anytime you listen to any player interview, they're always saying, oh, we got to play better. Oh, we got to improve. We got to figure out who we are. You shouldn't be trying to figure out who you are going into the final week of the regular season. At this point, if you're still trying to figure out who you are, that's just who you are. A team that has no identity. The Eagles lack identity. The only thing that you can somewhat depend on is that pass rush on defense. That's about it. If their pass rush can't get home, they're not going to get any stops. And it's really disappointing to see a defense that has so much talent performing at this low of a level. And the same thing with the offense. Like, they scored 31 points, cool, but Arizona's offense scored on damn near every single possession outside of when they threw that interception. That was it. Arizona's offense outplayed Philadelphia. Philly couldn't get any stop on Arizona's offense. Kyler Murray was the better quarterback than Jalen Hurts in this game. James Conner and Kyler Murray, they were like Shaq and Kobe in this matchup. If Kyler Murray wasn't doing damage, it was James Conner. 128 yards on the ground. Like, James Conner was looking like a damn bully in this game against the Eagles defense. He caught a one-hand touchdown. I was like, James Conner? You channeling your inner OBJ? Okay, James Conner, I see you. I see you. And didn't they sign Shaq Leonard? Like, where the hell is he at? He was one of the best linebackers in the NFL at one point. He was a former All-Pro. Like, they signed this dude a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't heard him make a single play. It's looking really bad down there in Philadelphia. We got some dead birds, people. We got some dead birds.